All right. Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to see you. Hopefully, everybody has had a good start to the week. For those of us that traveled, for those of you who don't know, many of us were in Austin, Texas last week, which was actually, I think, hotter there or maybe muggier there than it is here right now. But it was a tremendous week, and we'll kind of talk about it a little bit. I actually, if you guys were there, I may ask you just to say a few words this morning as well, just kind of your thoughts. Um, so I do have a lot of things that I wanted to cover. Cav and I were talking about what today like content was going to be. We always try to prep a little bit ahead of time. And I'm like, I've just got a hodgepodge of stuff that I feel like I need to get out there to everybody. And especially for those of you, who might be newer in the business, or this might only be your first or second or third AEP season that we're coming up into here. Cav and I had a little bit of a panic moment this morning together. Mine was right before his, and I called him and I said, "Do you realize we only have 90 days between now and when the pre-AEP season begins?" And it's true. We've got July, August, and September. And so, hopefully today I can give you guys some things to think about, some context. And I know we've got agents on the call that are tier three and tier four, and we've got agents who have not written a stick of new business yet. So, certainly there's, different things that each end of the spectrum will have to kind of consider and think through. But I want to just kind of prep you a little bit today. And then I'm hoping that over the next couple of weeks here, I don't know if we'll do it next week or not, but I want to move into our summer speaker series. And I really enjoy those sessions that we do each year where we bring in some top agents and just talk to them about what they do, how they do it, what their background is, what their experience is. And so, as we kind of move through the month of July, we're going to host a number of summer speaker series. We might cut it a little bit short. Usually I did 7 or 8 of those, six, seven, 8 of them each year, but we're going to have so much training that we need to do going into August and September and beyond. We may cut the summer speaker series a little bit short. So, before we get started, one thing that I wanted to do is I did want to take just a moment and share what's called our agent status report with everybody. And so let me get over to that. Um, for those of you who are brand new on the call, this is something that I like to share semi-regularly because this is kind of a running tally of where every agent in the territory stands on what's called our rolling 12-month FYCWs. So basically what we're looking at with this metric is we're looking at the last 11 months and 3 weeks worth of data. And so Health Markets really works off of a rolling 12-month FYCW tally. And if you remember, FYCWs are first year commissions weighted. So virtually all of our products count towards FYCWs. And many of our products, like supplemental insurance and life insurance, are double weighted or weighted 2.85 times. So we do internally weight some of those products a little bit differently, just to incentivize agents to sell them and make sure that they're being presented. So that's kind of what this is all about. And so the way this tally works is every month when we get to the end of the month, whatever number you're at, that determines what tier level you'll be paid out for the next month. So and then every month we lose the numbers from 12 months ago. So you can look at these numbers right here, and Ray Plagans is top right now. He has 700,000 rolling 12-month FYCWs, which first of all is an insane number. But what that means is for the last 11 months and 3 weeks, that's the amount of business that he has written. And then obviously we've got one more week of production here in this month, and wherever we land at the end of June will then determine what tier level we're going to be paid at for the month of July. And so that's kind of how that works. It is, I think, truly a measurement of what have you done in the last 11 to 12 months. So when we hit July 1st, the July numbers from 2024 will fall out of this calculation. And through the month of July, as the numbers update, we'll start building back towards a full 12-month rolling FYCW number for each individual agent. So that's kind of how this works. Really, the column that we're looking at here is this column right here, because this is the current rolling. The first column is contract months. So how long you've been with Health Markets. You'll see a lot of agents are pegged at 185. A lot of us that have been here a long time. We've been here, many of us more than that. But we launched what was called InSphere Insurance Solutions, which was the predecessor to Health Markets. And I think that was 185 months ago. If I do the math back, it was like January of 2010. And so that's kind of like the beginning of time in the health markets world, right? So a lot of us are pegged at that 185 mark. And then you have your career FYCWs, and then what tier level you're currently at is what's kind of displayed on this. So you can see these agents that are in bold green. These are all of our tier four agents. I think we have maybe 14 tier four agents. Carrie Hunter is the newest addition to the tier four ranking. So congratulations to Carrie. You guys can see where these agents are actually at. And obviously they've got to be over the 225,000 mark by the end of next week or the end of the month here to be able to retain their tier four status for next month. And then we go down a little bit and you look at our tier three agents, and our tier three agents are in light green here. So from Rick Peterson down to Dick Carlson, all agents who are running pretty incredible practices. I would say as you're beginning to acclimate yourself to the health markets ecosystem, our tier three and our tier four agents are the elite producing agents. Not the tier one and tier two. I would say we have a lot of great tier two agents, many great tier two agents that are doing an incredible job. And candidly, we have tier two agents that are making six-digit income. So being tier two, there is nothing to sneeze at in itself. But tier three and tier four, certainly are performing at a much higher level when it comes to rolling 12-month FYCRs. So you can see all of the agents that are here. I will mention, David Chapman, Emily Haskins, Andy Dampier. Those three agents in particular are really climbing quickly towards tier three status. So I hope you're all able to achieve that here before the AEP OEP season. And then the red line kind of denotes the line between tier two agents and tier one agents. And we do have an enormous amount of tier one agents. Thanks to many of you who have referred people into the business. Many of you on the call are still in a tier one status. I'll say kind of the first, big thing that we hope you can accomplish in your career with health markets is getting to tier two status. And we would love to see that happen within your first 12 months. The agents that are in blue are in their first 12 months. I'm sorry, within their first 18 months. So, I think that agents, if you can get to tier two in your first 18 months, that's a pretty good thing. We certainly would hope that somebody doesn't sit permanently in that tier one status. It is the lowest commission level. We want to get you to tier two. I think getting to tier two really accentuates the fact that you're executing enough transactions to really become proficient at the work that we do. You're not a dabbler anymore. Like this is what you're doing full time when you move from tier one to tier two. And so as I look at this, Jeff Armstrong, really great and strong numbers, buddy. You're going to get there, I would say, within the next month. I would be surprised if you don't clear tier two right at your 12-month mark. Chester's up here as well. Chester's had a great run. Chester was able to join us in Austin last week on a wild card. So I think we'll probably see a real uptick in his numbers. Lauren, you're up over 28,000 now. So really great work there. Maggie, 26,000. I know you've got a lot of other things going on in your world as evidenced by the toddler that you're feeding while we host ADT. But really great work. Todd and Randy, you guys are right there. I will say Randy is really on a tear right now. He's really a short 8 months in and at that about halfway to tier two. So great job. Mariah is climbing quickly. Now, Mariah is a little bit different story because she actually is transitioning and beginning to take over Cheryl Noblet's business. And so she just recently moved into a career agent status again. So she's a little bit different scenario here. Justin, you're up over 16,000. Duke, great job, almost at 15,000. And then we've got Seth and Cole and Josh Doey, who are all in that 10, 11,000 mark. You can see as I scroll down here that we have a ton of new agents in the system that are just getting started. So if your name is down here in this, 84 on down, welcome. We hope that you choose to engage quickly and get things rolling quickly. We will do everything in our power to get you off the ground and running. I know some of you have just recently completed your training. Others of you, it might have been a couple of weeks or even a couple of months. Anything we can do to help you push forward and getting your first new business. That's really the first big milestone that we want to hit is that first new business and then get you to 10,000 FYCRs, then get you to 25,000, then 50,000, and then you're well on your way. I would encourage any of you that are in blue, make sure that you're looking at the Agent Accelerator program that's on the Resource Center. That is probably the most important contest that should be on your radar. Between what Health Markets is doing and your exec or your leadership team, your local leadership team, your territory leader, myself, and your sales leader, we actually, in your first 12 months, we put out about $11,000 in potential bonuses that you can receive in the form of lead money and cash and things like that to help get you. It's all based on hitting those Agent Accelerator milestones. So go back to that. One thing that I would probably direct you back to is we have our new agent investment document that was in the new agent handbook that you went through. Make sure you go back and look at that because that should be the path that you aggressively chase. Because if you're hitting those milestones, you're making money and you're getting all of the bonus opportunities that are in front of you. So I'll try to send out a reminder email on the Agent Accelerator program to all of you who are on that. We're also going to start next week or this week pushing out just a weekly update of where you're at on your Agent Accelerator program, just so you have a good line of sight into that. So I don't go over this every single week, but I did want to take some time to do this. I will be sending this out so you guys can begin to kind of look through and dissect, where different agents stand. I'd say if you're anywhere in this hierarchy, put a target on the back of somebody out ahead of you and see what you can do to catch them in the next 90 days before we hit the Medicare AEP OEP season. So if you have questions about that, don't hesitate to reach out. I don't know, I'm gonna check the chat box real quick and just see if there are any questions that you guys had um, about that. If you wouldn't mind putting your name into the chat box too, many of you have already done that, but Sandra's not here. She's on vacation this week. So that's something I wanted to remind you to do. And I'm glad that I actually remembered that. So I'm going to pivot over and we're going to talk a little bit about celebration. I would encourage all of you, there are two sales team meetings going on Friday. I'm sorry, on Thursday of this week. One is for our Indiana agents. So if you're on our Indiana team, it'll be hosted here in Elkhart, Indiana at IUSB. I've sent out updates and reminders. I would ask, please, please, please engage if you're able to. Come up to the meeting. It's going to be a little bit of a long meeting. We're going to run from 9 to noon. And then we're also going to watch Paul Kaler's training on plan review workshops, which starts at 12. So for the agents who want to stick around, we'll explain a little bit more what that's about. And then I know Gary and Tyler are also hosting a sales team meeting up in the Grand Rapids market on Thursday as well. We've got two sales team meetings, one for Indiana, one for Michigan going on. And I would tell you, I think you need to engage in those if this is what you're going to do and this is going to be your career moving forward. Those are going to be opportunities to explain more about what happened last week in Austin at our celebration event. And then we've got a lot of additional things we've just got to talk through to start getting prepped and getting ready for the AEP OEP season, which again is a short 90 days away. That makes me really anxious. But we have a lot to do between now and then. So I wanted to show you guys this picture. It was really great. This is the team that we took to celebration. We took this on the stage on the last night. These celebration events, for those of you that have been, I think this is my 23rd one in a row. Steve Cavajola took me on a wild card for my very first one, which would have been in 2001. And then I was able to qualify every year after that. And I always, these celebration events are really quite an event that Health Markets pulls off. This year we were in Austin, Texas. Last year we were in the Amalfi Coast. So we bounce around to different locations. Next year, it's going to be down in Boca Raton, down in Florida, at a beautiful resort. And I would encourage you to try to see what you can do to qualify for next year's event. Next year's event is going to be a little bit more leisurely and casual. This year, we were really packed in meetings almost every day, and it was great stuff that I'll kind of give you a little glimpse of today. But next year is going to be more of a relaxing type of vacation. Obviously, you can take your spouse or a significant other. Some of our agents took other agents, which I think was wonderful. This is the crew that was there. I was really, really proud to represent the team down there. We got a lot of great kudos across the board. I'll tell you the one thing that was said to me this year. Every year you go and you get big awards and you walk the stage and people tell you congratulations. And that's something that's been fairly consistent throughout my career. I think the thing that was most cool to me this year is that there was a lot of that went on, but there were more people this year that came up to me and just said, "You have an awesome team of agents around you." And I felt that more at this event than I ever have. Maybe it's because we had a large team. Maybe it's because people just knew more who we were. But we do have a uniquely different culture than anywhere else in the nation. And I will tell you, those of you that are new, you're stepping into something that is very, very special. And I know you may not, it may be hard for you to see it from your current vantage point, but when you get in an event, I mean, there were 650 people that were in attendance at this event. And our crew, I mean, we walked, I haven't done the math yet. I want to identify how many times we walked the stage and how many times we were able to celebrate the successes that agents achieved last year. It was really pretty insane. So it was an honor to represent all of you and be here, but specifically, with this crew. I want to just give a couple of minutes to a few people that are on the call who were there in attendance, just to give them an opportunity to maybe share just a couple of quick thoughts with you. And I'm going to start with Cav. He is the most veteran agent on the call. You can see his bald head up here on the top row in the picture. But Cav, I know you've been to more of these than I have. I know you've witnessed more. Do you have anything you want to share about this year's celebration?
Well, yeah, I've been to a lot of these, and before we were health markets, when we were UGA, that was like the wild, wild west back then. I mean, it was it was more about, I think, drinking and entertainment than other things. And the thing that I've seen with health markets is they've really turned this into a classy event. They really focus on the recognition. Um, we used to go to this, sometimes 4 or 5 days. They've cut it down to pretty much 3 days, and they pack it. They recognize us. They give us the ability to cross pollinate with other teams and stuff like that. And I like the flow they have now, where one year it's business, one year it's just relaxation, just kind of a trip. Where, I mean, God, my first 15 of these were all at the same place, the Anatole in Dallas, and it was fun, but I just like the variety they're doing it. And you can really see health, or United Healthcare's hand in this. They are pretty conservative, um, but they just put together a good show. It was just, everything was just well put together, and it's pretty amazing that, I look at this picture right here. The first time I went down back in 1998, I mean, we had maybe 6 people, and I'll never forget, at that meeting, I heard Troy McQuaig, who was the president of our company at the time, say, "I want to be part of a team that writes 400 million." And Dan Garrison stood up there today and showed us that we did 2 billion this year, and we're shooting for 3 billion in next year. It's just, again, so when Silas says you guys are part of something special, this is a huge opportunity. It's a huge organization underneath the umbrella of probably the largest healthcare company on the planet. And just some of the technologies that they're bringing, the products that they're going to be bringing out. I mean, I just feel really comfortable that they're setting us up to dominate this market. One of the things that's going to happen is, with all the regulations and stuff that are coming down, a lot of these smaller companies, they flat out said they don't think they're going to be able to make it. And so, being under this flagship of United Healthcare, and United Healthcare loves health markets. And so, and you can just tell by the way they're investing in us. So, again, for those of you that are new on the call, for those of you who are kind of have, one foot on the dock and one foot in the boat, I would just say commit to this, because you're committing to a very worthy cause. We help people, we help reduce their chance of medical bankruptcy, and you're part of an organization that truly is designed to take care of you. So, I was very, it's just nice to go to these things, and just understand that, my commitment to health markets is just rock solid, because there's a lot, there's a lot of people that are getting poached by other companies for stuff that are just kind of a wish, and health markets, everything's already in place. So it was just a nice event, and it was nice being around the team. And it, it's crazy, I say this every year, but I think our greatest income opportunity is still in front of us, which is hard to believe, because we have so many people. What what was the average salary for the people that were there? It was like $677,000 or something, Silas. Is that?
I don't know if it was that. I was thinking it was 386. I'll pull the number, but I thought it was 386,000 for the
Some was
attendee.
677,000, so
It might have been. It was
that
a
might have been
crazy.
the top 10, but it's a big number. And then when you take that over the course of the whole company, our average rep makes $94,000. It's just this is a big deal, guys. So if you haven't really realized where you're sitting, sometimes it takes going to something like this to just really understand how big this really is. But we're going to try and do our best to keep showing you what it is. But I think you guys are in the right place at the right time. You just got to, again, my favorite saying is you got to embrace the suck. You got to figure it out. But if you can, it could be life changing. It could be generational wealth for your family.
Right. I had a couple of things I just mentioned. Number one, United Health Group, which is, you know, which owns Health Markets, just moved into the Fortune 3 position. So third largest organization. They've never been Fortune 3. 2 years ago, they were Fortune 5, Fortune 4, Fortune 3 now. So being backed by them, I had an opportunity to sit in a 3-hour meeting with Ahmad Ansari, who is the CFO of United Health One, which is the division that we're under, and just talking about the finances of the organization. They are blown away with what we're doing as an organization. And to Kev's comment, making significant investments into us. I mean, millions of dollars of investments over just the next couple of weeks and months. Some of it's been in process as well. So, Emily, I know this was the first one for you. I don't want to steal all your thunder because I want you to be able to talk to the team on Thursday as well. But do you have anything you'd like to share with this group?
Yeah. It was just an incredible experience. It was humbling, but it was so impactful. Being able to go there and talk to other agents, I left really feeling like, I've been a part of the Jessup team for a while, but you just leave with a different bond, different relationship with the agents that you get to spend time with there. And being able to talk to other agents that are in Florida, that are in Colorado, and the way that they run their businesses, and getting input from them, going to the workshops, and being able to pick the workshops that you want to go to. So for me, it was like marketing. I need to work on marketing. And the number of things that I've taken back from that I came home, I started implementing. I've got boxes of envelopes sitting to my right here. Like I have not stopped working since I got home. Saturday on, like I have just been grinding. When I messaged my husband as we're sitting in the event, finding out we're going to Florida next year, and that's like our favorite place to go is Florida. I said, I'm gonna try to earn my trip next year. So it was just a really neat experience. Um, it can be a little bit overwhelming at times, as going down for your first time and meeting all the people, especially if you're like me and you're a little bit introverted. Also, night one, realizing like you guys, these people can drink. I can't even fathom what the bar tab is for this whole event. So, not being a drinker, that was also interesting. But it was incredible, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity.
Yeah, it's so fun for me to watch like you there and other first timers. Like that's always probably one of the things I enjoy the most because it's almost mind blowing like what it is, and you just can't really describe it until you're there. So I know Chester was also able to attend from Derek's team on a wild card. Chester, I think you're there. I don't know if we can hear you or not, but do you have anything you'd like to share, buddy? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Can you hear me, Silas?
Yep, we can hear
Oh,
you.
yeah, I agree with Emily. It was and Steve. It was a well put together celebration, and for a new comer and being tier one, it's eye-opening that there's lots of people there and they're real. Like they were not afraid to tell you how they get from tier one to tier two to tier three to doing things. I think that was my biggest take was that everyone you ask, there was no secret sauce except for going to work, put your boots on, and you know go after your dreams, whatever wakes you up in the morning and makes you happy. feel to be alive, just go chase it. Know your purpose and show up. It was consistency, and a lot of those people, that was the main thing, was consistency and knowing that they've seen worse, and they couldn't get any worse than where they're at the time when they started health markets, and that relate to me a lot as a tier one. Looking at those numbers, and I'm like, wow, like how do I get there? And they were not afraid to share that with us, so that was very informative. And our team, and when you guys get the chance to go, Team Jessup, and of course Derek Mabry, being part of the big team, you can tell that our team and you're a part of something great. Togetherness, humility, and also they all look out for each other. Michelle was like a mother to me, so I'm so grateful that she was there also. But Emily and everyone else, all the spouses, they make you feel comfortable. And like the last thing I took away was Mr. Gary. He said, "You make this trip, your family from here on out." So, and that's all I can say, Silas, and I'll save the rest for Thursday. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So Michelle, I saw you joined us. Sophia, I saw you joined us, and both of you were able to attend. With timing, I'm going to have you save your comments until our Thursday meeting. I have a couple more things I need to get through, but it was an impactful week. Obviously, I always come back from these events completely exhausted, and so I did sleep quite a bit this weekend. But kind of same thought as Emily, like my mind spinning and grinding on what's next. What can we do bigger? What can we do better? How do we scale to this opportunity? I'll tell you one of the biggest things that jumped out at me, and we talked about it several times, was how massive our organization is, yet what a small portion of the market share we actually have. Whether you look at Medicare or you look at the ACA business, in both markets, health markets has actually enrolled less than 1% of the members that are in those markets. So I think with Medicare, it's 0.7% of enrollees were done under the health markets umbrella. And with ACA business, it's 0.9%. And so I just think that speaks to the reality that this is such a massive opportunity in front of us, let alone the people that are flooding into these markets. I mean, you talk about the 12,000 people a day in the Medicare space, that doubling over the next 6 years to 24,000 a day and then plateauing for a decade. The opportunity is absolutely massive. And I would just encourage all of you, I don't think you need to, in the beginning, we're starting to leverage live transfers and trying to get you going on live transfers. But I think eventually you want to focus your practice on going deep where you live and where you work. Um, Many of us on our team have done that and figured that out. And we work in pretty rural, small markets, but we figured out how do we drill deep where we're at because there's so much opportunity just in your own backyard. And a lot of that's getting out, marketing, building your practice, building your brand, walking and talking, engaging with small business owners. There's just so much of that work that can actually be done. So a few of the highlights I would say as far as deliverables, I wanted to go over a few things with you, and we're going to have a ton of training coming over the next 60 days. Um, I'm going to ask each of you if this is what you're going to do as your career, or this is something you want to truly actively be engaged in, you have to engage in these trainings because we have so much rolling out over the next couple of months that you're just going to get lost if you don't really engage. You can't be a dabbler in this, my opinion. So the first big thing that we are doing is some significant upgrades to Health Sherpa. Health Sherpa is our quoting and enrollment tool, specifically for ACA products. I would encourage all of you, you need to become an expert at Health Sherpa. And there's a number of ways you can do that, obviously utilizing it for your enrollments. But Health Sherpa has a whole training platform, including video content, webinars, frequently asked questions. Sherry Snyder on my staff has done a great job of starting to dive into that because she's just learning it as well. And so we're going to try to curate some of that content and push it out to you. But if you're not an expert on Health Sherpa, you need to become one in the next 60 to 90 days. I would tell you that's something you need to focus on, whether it's, an hour a couple of times a week watching videos and reading and just immersing yourself into that tool. There's going to be some new enhancements. You got to understand the base tool because there's going to be a lot of new enhancements that are going to come out as we roll into the fourth quarter or towards the fourth quarter to assist with, re-enrollment processes. There are some big changes coming in the under 65 space. One of the biggest ones is that the anybody who has a $0 premium right now will have to actively re-enroll for next year. We also are pretty certain that the enhanced subsidies are going to be falling away. So many people are going to be having increased premiums. They did announce over the weekend, I don't know if anybody saw this, but they are going to keep the open enrollment period through January 15th for this next year. So we're not going to be cut short. We thought we were going to be cut 30 days short. The final rule was released over the weekend, and it looks like we are going to have until January 15th to get everything done that we need to. But keep in mind, anything that we do between December 15th and January 15th will have a 2/1 effective date. It won't be for 1/1 of 2026. So Health Sherpa, you just need to really, really make sure you're really, really well versed on that. Secondary to that, ConnectSure. If you're playing in the Medicare space, you need to do the exact same thing with the ConnectSure platform. You need to get in it. They have embedded trainings and videos and frequently asked questions right inside of the tool that you can go through. You just got to play around in there and become really, really proficient at sorting and organizing and utilizing that ConnectSure platform. We are rolling out, it's an enormous expense that Health Markets is incurring, but we're rolling out a new feature that's going to be a part of ConnectSure called Active Analytics. And what this is going to be able to do is it's going to be able to take your entire book of business that's inside the ConnectSure platform, and it's going to be able to identify which of your members are most at risk. So it's going to identify things like, okay, so this client is on a specific medication, and the plan that they're currently enrolled in does not have that medication on the formulary list for 2026. That is like that person then rises to the top because you need to get in touch with them and move them to a different plan. If there are plans that are sunsetting, if there are plans that are going non-commissionable, there's going to be a lot of volatility in that Medicare space with new products and things this year. And I think this active analytics tool will allow those of us that have a large book of business to be able to manage that and identify, especially where the problem areas are when it comes to clients, the product they're enrolled in, and their doctors being out of network, their drugs not being on the formulary list, or maybe there's just a significant plan change in that plan that they're in where they need to be looking for something a little bit better, or there's a better plan in their market for next year. So those are all the things that the ConnectSure Active Analytics is going to be delivering. Another huge, massive rollout is our VanillaSoft CRM. We sat through many workshops. I think everybody sat through a VanillaSoft workshop, and we are beginning the implementation very, very quickly. It's going to be happening here in the month of July. We've got a couple of teams testing things right now. We actually had Bob. He's the president of VanillaSoft. He sat at one of our tables one of the evenings for dinner, and so I got to pick his brain a little bit. We met with all their developers, their lead account manager. They were all seeking us out because they know we're heavy CRM users. Cav actually stayed up late one night. I think he closed down 2 bars with me one night. We weren't drinking that much, so we were just talking business. And so we actually,
Yes, that's a key point.
what's
I
that?
had 2 drinks. That was it. I just had to make sure Silas and Tallman got to their beds. Okay.
Might be some truth in that, but I think I only had 3. So, but nonetheless, we actually the VanillaSoft team actually sought us out that night on that rooftop bar, and like we just started like talking about what we wanted, what we needed. They're like moving so quickly. They're like, we can pivot and build this into whatever you guys need and want it to be. So they want the active feedback. Just so you guys know, we have a and I'll be getting this out. We have our territory VanillaSoft training. It's a 90-minute initial training on July 23rd at 3 p.m. So make sure you notate your schedules. You need to be on that. That'll be kind of the first launch for us. And then there's going to be a lot more after that. Technically, we are looking to launch VanillaSoft on August 14th, I think is the date. So we'll have about 3 weeks from the time that we do our training to sit in. There's going to be a lot of additional trainings Health Markets is going to do on a national basis, but our territory training is 7/23 at 3 p.m. for 90 minutes. So I would encourage you to make sure that's actually on your schedule. VanillaSoft is going to be incredible. It's going to bring so much that we just don't have today. It's going to allow sub-agents to integrate into the system much better and much easier. The big thing about VanillaSoft is that it has its own phone line, which you can make and receive calls through. You can actually port over numbers from other VoIP systems if you want to or need to. It has recording capabilities, so every call can be recorded and stored. So we're in full compliance with the CMS regulations on that. It also has a tool inside of it where the whole idea is that it's every 6 seconds it's scanning your system and telling you what the next best thing to do is. So somebody replies to an email that you sent. Well, that becomes one of the top priorities because they just replied, and that's somebody who's actively engaged. Somebody texts you back off of a text string. Full text, email capabilities, workflows that can be built out, voicemails. So you're going to be able to record voicemails ahead of time and have 3 or 4 different voicemails that you pre-recorded. So that when you call somebody and they don't answer, you just hit a button and it leaves that voicemail. So you don't have to say it. It just leaves that recorded voicemail and you can move on to the next thing while it's leaving that voicemail. I did a study on this many years ago, and when you're making phone calls and leaving a voicemail, it can take up to 90 seconds to get through, the ringing and then into the call, listening to their voicemail and then leaving your voicemail. This is going to cut that down by probably about half the time to be able to make the phone calls that we need to make. They're loading in all kinds of text and email templates that we'll be able to leverage and use. There's just so much coming. But again, we're going to have to engage very, very heavily in July and August and September so that you can understand the software, so you can access it, so you can understand how to leverage it so that we can maximize it, during Q4, during the AEP and OEP season.
Silas, can
Um,
I add one thing about VanillaSoft?
Sure.
When we were talking to the developer, there's a sister company of ours called US Health Advisors that's been using this for a few years. And he said they get most of their business off their older leads, where they'll start creating a campaign like 6, 7, 8 months out, and it'll start reaching out to these people, and they write a ton of business off these old leads that they missed the first time. Because again, Silas and I, we got 30, 40,000 names sitting in our CRM, and we don't take the time to go through that, where this system can automatically start doing it for you, start bringing people to the front, which will make buying leads a little bit more attractive going forward. Because number one, you're not going to have to work them as much as you have to do now. But number two, you're just building a database that'll turn into new business down the road.
Right. 100% agree. So I am super excited about this. I think our efficiency is going to just increase dramatically with this new CRM platform. Um, 2 more things that were kind of rollouts that are happening. One is that we're rolling out some significant sub-agent enhancements. So if you're a sub-agent or you have a sub-agent on your team, there'll be some significant enhancements, and that's actually happening on July 9th. So about 2 weeks out, there's going to be a significant upgrade to our system. It's going to give sponsor agents and sub-agents a lot more access, a lot more visibility. We're actually going to have sub-agent dashboards available, which will be awesome, where like I can go in and see what all of my sub-agents have done. I haven't had that kind of line of sight into the sub-agents on my team, and many of you haven't either. So that's it. And then the last big deliverable for this fall is our Yext platform. I know a couple of you new agents have had some frustrations with Yext because it's kind of been paused for the last 60 to 90 days. Part of that is because we're rolling out a new, greatly enhanced Yext platform. And what Yext is it's a vendor that we employ. They come in, they manage our agent websites, they manage all of our online presence, including social media posts and all of this. And it's going to be like a one-stop shop where you can go in and you can manipulate, you can set up campaigns for posting on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook or all the above. You can build out calendars and schedules. There's compliance approved material already loaded in there. It's going to be pretty insane what we can do to really just leverage our online presence through the X platform. Cav, did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I actually went to that workshop, and one of the cool things about it is it's going to have AI capability in there to where um, you can actually just use AI to build stuff. And it's also going to have AI built in that has compliance already built in there. So if you use words that are non-compliant, it won't even let you do it. No more having to send something into home office and waiting for 6 years to get it back. The other thing it does is it's going to track your social media network. And when they see something trending, it'll alert you so you can send content out based on what your people are excited about, and it's
Time
all
of
going to
day,
be, what's that?
the time of day as well, like when they're most active.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just, it's going to be a big deal. And like Silas said, you can create one post, hit a button, it'll go on to LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. So it's going to be a time saver that like they have built-in campaigns. They'll actually tell you if you're posting too much, if you're not posting enough. So there's going to be all kinds of analytics that'll make social. Yes, I actually think I'm going to have to learn Facebook here. I've fought it for so long, but It's
There's so many people doing so many great things on social right now, and we saw some of that down there with agents that are just, I mean, they're just creating all these organic leads and everything off of just having an online presence and
yeah,
curating.
and it doesn't cost them anything.
Right.
Yeah, because we're not talking about like, boosting leads or paying for ads. That's all something you can be done. This is just being a presence where people just know what you're doing. You're out there and it just comes back to you. Again, another big thing they talked about down there is the Google reviews. Huge. So if you don't incorporate, getting your links out to people and having them build up your Google reviews. And then also on our agent website now, they upgraded that through Yext to where when you go to your agent website now, it shows your Google reviews right underneath your picture, which makes, marketing our website even more important now. So, okay, I'm done. I got a little geeked up there.
Cat's a little excited about social media. I've never had that experience before, but that's good. Stefan, to your question, um, the Yext platform, like the new enhanced platform, is rolling out in August. So we're probably, I would say, 6 weeks out from that. There will be a lot of communications and trainings and things coming along that. I mean, every single one of these things that I'm telling you about, I'm just like giving you the overview, and then we're gonna have a ton of trainings. They're gonna have office hours, all kinds of things that we can engage in, over the coming weeks and months around that. So those are kind of the big, I think the big like deliverables, I think that were there. And I'll tell you, this all started like 18 months ago, trying to figure out. We started having internal conversations with the executive leadership team. We saw the volatility that was coming for this AEP OEP season, and we had to figure out how do we scale to it, and how do we figure out how to help our agents navigate this. I've always said, and I've been pounding Dan Garrison on this, our president, and our the rest of our leaders. I think there's two levers we have to pull: technology and manpower. Those are the two things that we can do to scale to the opportunity in front of us. And so obviously the technology is being delivered by health markets at a level we've never seen. We made a decision a couple of years ago to stop manufacturing technology in-house and to go out to the best organizations, world-class organizations, and just rent their platforms. And that's the thing the VanillaSoft guys told me. They're like, we think about this 24 hours a day. We wake up in the middle of the night with a new idea that we're like implementing the next day or the next week. It's just like they're constantly working on this. And I know Health Sherpa, Connector, Yext, all these third-party vendors that we've now compiled on our Agent Connect platform are doing the exact same thing. And they're all super excited about the opportunity to work with us because they know what a terrific, team and field force we actually are.
Can
So,
I add one more thing, Silas, about the whole
Sure.
VanillaSoft? Because when we were talking to the guy, one of the things that are going to be in our VanillaSoft that everyone else in the world doesn't have is a calendar. And so when they showed the calendar, it said, you could pick times for like 15, 30, 45 an hour. And someone went up to them and said, we need choices like office, virtual, stuff like that. The guy went back to his team and they fixed it in 30 minutes. I mean, it's just we just tell them what we want because the VanillaSoft that we're going to get is customized to health markets only. So like US Health Advisors who've been working with them for they don't get this. It's just health markets because they see what a massive organization we are and they're just kind of basically building it the way that we want it to run.
right. So a few questions in the chat box. Kelly, Yext will not be available to sub-agents, I don't believe. I believe that's only career agents. One of the things that health markets is being very thoughtful about is, the career agent is who they're catering to. Not that sub-agents are not important. All of my sub-agents are tremendously important to my sanity and my business and my life. And I know many of you are contributing so much, but there has to be a distinction between who the career agent is and what currencies they have, and then staff that they hire either as an assistant or a sub-agent. So it'll all flow up into that sponsoring agent will be the one, the career agent will be the one who has the majority of these resources, and then they can, delegate or allocate them, to other people in their organization. Um, Lauren, I don't think Google reviews are paused through Yext. I mean, Google reviews, you can go out and get Google reviews. That's independent of Yext. That really has nothing to do with Yext, so I don't think that's the case. And then Kevin asked, what will happen to Agent Connect? Will the data be integrated into VanillaSoft? Will be a sunset of Agent Connect? So yes, yes, and yes. So keep in mind, Agent Connect is always going to be the platform that we're on. We're just swapping out the CRM. So Agent Connect is where our entire technology platform is going to reside. But within that, then we're plugging in the different vendors. And so the current CRM will go away. VanillaSoft will come in and replace that. And there will be a migration of data. We're going to have trainings on that in the next couple of weeks here. That's part of our rollout meeting on 7/23 is like just making sure that the data is correct. And what we want to actually transfer over. Some agents will want their entire database to go over, others might not. And so we'll have the ability to kind of pick and choose. The data will never disappear. It will always be kept, but it's a matter of what do you want to have, active and showing in your VanillaSoft. So there will be some work to do around that and some thought around that. I think one thing that you could do is if you have unmatched policies sitting in your current CRM, matching those policies to the correct households would be a good task to start on because we want to make sure, the data that we're going to put into VanillaSoft is only as good as the data that's in our current CRM, right? So anything we can start doing to clean those up. If you have a bunch of old open appointments, I think we want to try to get those closed out and updated. I really am going to work with my staff over the next couple of weeks to just make sure that our CRM is as clean as I can possibly get it so that once we make the transition, I'm transitioning over, clean data. So way more to come on all of that.
Well, and
So
one other thing about the data migration is VanillaSoft is actually going to be connected to the carriers. So it's not like the carriers is going to send it to Health Markets is going to put it in. Everything's going to go right to VanillaSoft. So our book of business should be a lot cleaner,
yep.
a lot faster.
The big thing that they talked a lot about is you can have an awesome platform, an awesome CRM, but if the integrity of the data is not where it needs to be, it's kind of worthless, right? So they're doing, along with these upgrades, doing a lot of things to improve like the active policies in the CRM. Just make sure that data is very accurate. So a lot of cool initiatives going on there. And some of that's been in the works for, like I said, 2 years to get to the point where we're at now. So it's going to be awesome, but it's going to take some work. And I don't think somebody, again, who's dabbling in the business or doing this it's going to be difficult to really embrace all the technology and really understand things. And I think same thing goes with the AEP OEP season. We are getting ready to enter into the most volatile season we've ever seen. I really believe that. There was talk at the event about the individual market. If the enhanced subsidies going away, that the individual ACA market will shed 7 to 9 million members, which there are about 24 million now who are in individual ACA plans. And so if people's premiums spike, they're going to have to find other alternatives. And so we have other products in our portfolio like HPG, obviously compilations of supplemental products, short-term products potentially that we can use. And I do think many clients and prospective clients are going to be searching for a creative alternative. And the beauty of our product portfolio is we have many of those creative alternatives in-house. So I did want to, as we kind of just look forward a little bit, I want to spend the last 10 minutes looking forward and trying to prep you guys for what's coming because it's about to get crazy. I'm just telling you. So we've got AHIP launched yesterday. I sent the link out this morning. My encouragement is if you're going to be involved in selling Medicare this fall, if that's something you want to do, you have to get through AHIP first. I'm going to press really hard to get everybody through AHIP in the next 5 weeks. So by the end of July, AHIP is the first domino that has to fall before you can do much of anything else. Now, to be clear, AHIP is a course that you work your way through. I think it costs about $125 with our Health Markets discount. You can run that through Lead Connect for reimbursement. But it is a course you work your way through. You study modules, and then there's a final exam. You have 3 attempts to take that final exam, and you have to get a 90% or better to pass. I'll say it right now at the beginning. If you're working your way through it and you don't pass it the first time or the second time, stop and get with your sales leader before you try to take it that third time. Because if you don't pass it with a 90% or better in 3 attempts, many of the carriers will not allow you to sell their product for the year. So it's really important. You do have the ability to download the study guides and the material. And, I think AHIP does a good job of teaching to the materials. A handful of you just went through the AHIP a couple of weeks ago or a month and a half ago, which is fine. It's okay to be doing it again. I think we did that intentionally because we want many people to go through AHIP twice before they hit their first AEP season because you're going to know the material better. But I would build into your schedule, how are you going to get AHIP done by the end of July? July 31st is the deadline I'm going to put out there for everybody. Once you pass the AHIP, then you're going to begin to work on your carrier certifications. So each carrier that you're going to be representing, in the Medicare space, they each have a separate carrier certification that you have to work your way through. So there's a lot of certifications if you're going to play in this Medicare game for next year that you need to be working on. Um, I also think, when you think ahead, we're going to have those carrier certifications late August through the month of September. Both of our offices, the Michigan office and the Indiana office, will be bringing in our carrier partners to tell us about their new product for the next year. So you want to be done with AHIP and your carrier certifications before the carrier reps start coming in and trying to teach us the product and the changes and the nuances and all the volatility. So that would be kind of the sequence there. You think about it though, in addition to that, you're going to have your FFM certification that needs to be done this fall. Now, that needs to be done before November 1st, but that's so that you can sell individual health insurance on the federally facilitated marketplace. We're also going to have ongoing trainings for all these technologies. So, VanillaSoft, Connecture, Health Sherpa, Yext. If you're involved in a sub-agent relationship, all of those trainings are going to be going on in August and September as well. So it's just an enormous amount of stuff that's going to be coming out from a training perspective. So I think you want to knock out as much as you can as early as you can so that you're not scrambling at the last minute and you're in a position that you can really help your clients. The other thing that I think we've really got to think through is what is your strategy going into AEP and OEP? You got to start thinking about that now. We're actually starting to build out our communication strategy. I say we, my team, my personal staff, we're building out our communication strategy. We want to get our clients updated and involved and know what's going on, and maybe even begin meeting with them mid to late July through August, September to prep them for what's going to be coming in the fourth quarter. If we can have conversations, throughout Q3 that make the conversation that we have during Q4 a 5 or 10 minute conversation, that's a big deal, especially with the volume of people that we're going to need to be, be able to work with. One thing that I'm going to do some training on this Thursday is we're going to talk a little bit about plan review workshops. So if you already have a large existing book of Medicare business, you might think about doing a plan review workshop where you bring in 30 or 300 people into a single room and take them through an overview of what's happening. Kevin McIntyre has done this at an incredible level. We're going to get some insights from him. If you're on our Indiana team, I've got some things I'm going to share from what Kevin has done in the past. And then at noon on Thursday, Paul Kaler is hosting a plan review workshop with 3 top agents from across the country who have done plan review workshops previously. So if that's going to be part of your strategy, you got to start planning that right now. We're already working on that within my team. So there's just a ton going on. I'll tell you, if you're in the Indiana team, we're going to have 2 meetings in August and we're going to have 4 meetings in September. Every week we're going to have a meeting. And for all of you that are, for everybody, our last big meeting on our territory launch meeting is going to be, let me make sure on the date. It's going to be on September 26th, which is the last Friday before October, before the Medicare pre-AEP launches. We don't have venue or anything locked down yet, but we're going to get together one last time to make sure everything's buttoned up and everybody's ready to rock and roll, come 10/1, because we're going to need to be ready to roll. So, do you guys have any questions about the planning, looking forward? I want to get your minds. This is the earliest we've ever pushed this and talked about this, but we have to this year because we have so much that we have to get done. Are there any questions?
So one thing I have a question on, just regard to the Yext platform. So I was supposed to get my Google page up a while ago, like a few months ago. It's still pending, still going through the process. And with the new Yext platform, enhanced platform coming out in August, I think you said, should I just wait for that point to work on it more, or what do you think I should do?
Would you send me a quick email with where you're at in the
Sure,
process or what's happened, just a quick synopsis, and let me
sure.
escalate it to somebody that I can
Okay.
answer better than me. Will you do
Okay.
that?
Yep.
I
Thanks.
know Rachel's been working it through our escalation tracking, but I'm going to bypass everything and just go straight to someone that I think
All
can
right.
give the answer.
Perfect.
I don't know, honestly, stuff, and I don't know if it's worth pushing on or if we should just go into a holding pattern till the new one rolls out, but I can get you an answer on that.
So,
All right, so two last things I want to touch on before we wrap up. One is if you guys have done any ACA enrollments through Health Sherpa or through healthcare.gov since May 16th, you'll know that the process has changed a little bit. you have to have verification of a special enrollment period. And usually that's some sort of documentation of loss of coverage, right? If they lost Medicaid, um, a big one is obviously people leaving group employer plans. Their employer can write a letter, but you have to have some sort of documentation to upload. And just so you know, what we've seen is that when they request that information, when the marketplace requests that information, you upload it, and then it takes days to get it approved. It's truly like somebody's manually looking at each one and approving it. I had one that took 8 days last month to get approved. And while it's in that 8 day review process of the documentation, you can't do anything. You can't make payment, you can't take payment, you can't activate the policy. The carrier doesn't even have the enrollment yet. And so I just want to prep you for that because as we move into the last week of June here, if you're doing ACA enrollments for 7/1, there's a good chance that they may not have their cards be activated or even be able to pay their premium payment because we're waiting on the federal government to approve their SEP documentation. So you can view all that and manage all that through Health Sherpa or through healthcare.gov. But I just want to prep you guys for that. So as you're doing last minute enrollments here late in the month, that you're telling your clients, now the coverage will be effective on 7/1 and it will go retroactive once all the dominoes fall. But they may not have their card in hand. We had a couple for a June 1st effective date that they were in a panic thinking, oh, all this is up in the air. There was nothing we could do about it. And so I think part of managing that and mitigating that is being honest with people up front and just telling them what's going on. And this is a new government regulation that started on May 16th that says we have to provide documentation around every special enrollment. So Jarko said he's got one that's been pending since May 29th. People are freaking out. Yeah, that's a long time. That's almost a month. I feel like something's off there. I might escalate that either to complex cases, Kevin, the complex cases hotline at healthcare.gov, or possibly call the agent line and see if there's anything else you can do to push it. And maybe you've done that, but so just that's something I'd think about. Um, Last thing I want to promote and just remind you guys of is Justin Wired. Thank you, Justin. Is doing some very regular live transfer call sessions where he's just making outbound live transfers, or he's taking outbound or inbound live transfers and working them. I think it's been a big success. I will tell you, I've been a little bit disappointed with the lack of engagement, though. For those of you that are new, like this is the opportunity to watch somebody work live transfers. Sometimes it's a complete failure. Sometimes there's a win in that. You know, we're averaging about 2 in 10 that we're making a sale to, but Justin is doing an incredible job. And so I've been sending out those emails, and I'm just going to push a little harder on people. Jump on those sessions. Some of them are in the evenings, some of them are in the mornings. Mornings and evenings are the best time for live transfers. He's even doing one next Saturday. So this is your opportunity to observe someone doing what you need to be doing to get started in the business. And I just please ask, like engage, watch them, like sit in and just, you can be working on mailers, you can be working on other stuff, but just jump on the Zoom call and listen and watch what Justin's doing. He's very good on the phone. He's a new agent in your shoes and really, you know, having some successes with things. Justin, I don't know if you're still on the call. I don't, there you are. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like it's turned into kind of a round table slash live transfer. The agents that have participated while we're waiting for live transfers to come in, we kind of we talk about a wide variety of things. And kind of share different things. Like I'm no expert. I'm new. I make mistakes, and I tell everybody if you notice me doing something wrong, or if you think I should have done something different, between calls, let's talk about it. And you know, we talk about, you know, when a call ends, as we're waiting for the next call, you know, what could have we done differently there? I've learned a lot myself over the past week and a half of doing this, and I've modified my connect to hopefully, you know, if I'm not able to make a sale today, you know, down the road, I'm able to now. I'm collecting the emails more regularly, so I'm able to do that drip marketing and stuff. So I'm getting a lot out of this, and I think the agents that have participated, you know, especially the new agents, they've been able to actually see that process of what it looks like to go through the application, what it looks like to pitch the plan and talk about and try to get you know, the supplements as well. So
Great job, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
yeah.
I'm so appreciative. I needed
Hey,
somebody to
hey,
do this,
Silas.
stepped up. So thank you.
Hey, Silas.
Yeah.
I sat in on a couple of those, and Justin does a great job. And it's like he said, we were just kind of bouncing things off as soon as he jumps on a call. And so trying to figure out what the best, way to handle a call, it can go any way. I mean, and they do go every way. And so when you see more of that on a repetitious basis, it enables me as a new agent to go, okay, what would I have done? And then, we'll get on the call, we'll hang up and do whatever, but we bounce things back and forth, and, writing notes and figuring out what may work and what may not work. It's all just a working process. So it was, hats off to Justin for doing it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The-
Thanks, dude. I really appreciate
Yeah,
that.
the other thing is, the new agents are not aware of certain things. I've talked to several new agents that are not aware of the low income SEP, so they're learning these things that could produce sales. Because there's certain things that they're not aware of. They don't, maybe they're not aware of. If an employer offers health insurance, if it's unaffordable, they qualify for the subsidy. So those are the things that we talk about between those calls, and hopefully it could produce a sale at some point for them.
Well, and I would also say, guys, like many of you are not even having a conversation a day with a prospective client. Live transfers are an opportunity to have a conversation. There's no easier way to start having conversations and start to learn the business. So we've got to embrace this. We've got to do a better job of it. Thank you, Justin, for your help on all of this, and I really appreciate the work that you're doing. We're going to try to get some other agents involved in this over a little bit of time as well, because I just think there's tremendous value in it. But it's worthless if you guys don't show up to it, right? So jump in, please engage. So, hey, I've got people waiting on me for an 11 o'clock call that I have to jump to. I know we covered a lot today. Hopefully, you guys pulled some nuggets out of this. Thanks to everybody who chimed in. I appreciate you all more than you know. We are in a special place. We're headed into a very volatile season. And so we're going to do our best to get you up and running and bring you up to speed. We got to engage. And that's probably my biggest takeaway from Celebration right now is Chester said it. The people who are successful are consistently showing up and engaging. And so if that's not you yet, it's time. Step into it. We'll help you rock and roll. So thanks, everybody. I hope you have a great week. Appreciate you being here. And we will be back next week. See ya. Bye.